From StampWithLorraine.com. Welcome to another card tutorial. I'm going to show you a very simple sketch or card layout today that will feature one of my favorite sets from the new January-June 2021 mini catalog. I think you're going to love it too. It's so versatile, a lot of things you can do with that. So the stamp set is actually Art Gallery, but there's a whole suite of products that coordinate with this beautiful stamp set. This one has a two-step stamping option here, and things that coordinate with this beautiful designer series paper. Look how pretty these floral prints are. And if you look closely, it looks like they're actually oil painted. And because they were, Stampin' Up actually took photos of these to create these patterns. The flip sides are just more background patterns that can be used, or you're going to have a hard time deciding what side to use on those. Coordinates with a ton of our fabulous Stampin' Up colors, and one of the best things with Stampin' Up is the color coordination. You know that any of these are going to match with the designer series paper. So let's get started. I'm going to show you several ways to use this one sketch and the Fine Art Suite from the January-June 2021 mini catalog. One of my favorites, new sets and suites that are in there, is this Art Gallery stamp set. I told you before, I think it looks kind of like thick oil painting. You have your two-step stamping. You have a lot of different sentiments, which are small. Sometimes you want something a little bit not so big and over the top. So it's nice to have a variety of sentiments on there. And you have three types of flowers and a nice little stem. So not tons of things to have to work with, kind of simple with your sentiments. So this is the DSP that comes with it, and I was just falling in love. These are cut down. I had a 12 by 12, but these are just cut down a little smaller for you to see. You can see it looks like oil painting. So it actually is photographed paintings. So it isn't just computer generated or graphically done somehow, but it's actually done actual oil paintings that Stampin' Up had taken pictures of. So you could see the actual brush strokes in there. And this one comes, a couple of these, there was another 4-inch over here. I just cut a strip so that I could use that. And it isn't just an overall pattern, kind of like this. It has sort of a scene to it. So if you wanted some that has some of the background with the flower tops, that's fine. If you want it for a scrapbook background, you can use more of that. So it gives you some options there. And some of these coordinate with the clear acetate that has some gold outlines that kind of overlay the flowers. And I'll show you more of those another time, because I have plenty of things to show you today. So one side you have all your flowers. Okay, these are kind of similar, where it looks like a little garden growing. Okay, this one is just an overall pattern, repeated pattern. Okay, this one has the gray background, very pretty. And then the pink. And then the flip side, you have just backgrounds, patterns, or things that you can use for your background. So a nice mixture of colors and tones there. And the colors that coordinate with that, there are so many colors, and that's why when I started doing some of the cards I'm going to show you today, I just had so many options because there are so many colors. So here are the array of colors that coordinate with this DSP. Let me fan them out for you. So you have So Saffron, you have Bumblebee, Pumpkin Pie, Terracotta Tile, which is an in color from last year, so that has one more year to go. You can see how it kind of coordinates with the flowers in here. Flirty Flamingo, Poppy Parade, Merry Merlot, Old Olive, Mossy Meadow, Pool Party, and Night of Navy. Okay, so you can see how all those colors are captured in here. So if you take something like this, really any of these colors, there's that terracotta tile, so many of these can work with the DSP. Okay, so a lot of different options there. So sometimes you're just too limited with certain colors. So you say, oh, I don't have that color, or don't have that ink, or I don't have that cardstock or ribbon to match. So it's nice that you have so many options there. We're going to start with a card base. I'm going to have Pool Party. Make sure that's burnished well on that fold. And one of the things that coordinates with this suite is this painted texture embossing folder. And I'm not sure if you, let me see. Okay, there you go. You can see how it looks like thick paint, just kind of swatched on there, not smoothed out. So it gives a nice background texture. Good for rustic cards or masculine cards even. And here's another option. Instead of just leaving that plain, one thing that you can do is to bring out that texture a little bit. If you don't want it too subtle, take those blending brushes. Woo, sorry about that. You can take your blending brushes, which are new in the new mini catalog, and there are 3 for $12, I believe it is, 11 or 12. I believe it's 12. And you can just, like I showed last week, these are, they kind of look like foam in the catalog, but they're actually millions of little bristles in here that are packed together pretty tightly, but it's so nice and soft. It kind of feels like a cosmetic brush. So you can put that right on your ink pad. And I tend to just brush off a little bit to make sure I'm not going too heavy. And then I started a little bit over here. You can see I went a little too heavy on this spot here. So I'll show you my mistakes as well as the things that come out good. But if you kind of go over where those little edges are, it can bring out the detail of those, that thick paint look. So maybe if you want that to show up a little more, you can just rub over that. And you can see it kind of gets caught on the edges of those grooves and whatnot there. So you can get a little bit more detail if that's the look you're looking for. And if you want something more subtle, just leave it as it is. Okay, so we're going to put this card together. And I'm starting to look at color combinations that I wouldn't normally think of. I'm looking at colors I don't often use and looking at how I can try to use them. So believe it or not, I wouldn't normally think Pool Party and Old Olive, but because they're sort of colors found in nature, they're going to work. Okay, very often they say blue is a new, it's a, background color, and it's okay, like beige or whatever. Okay, so basically this is going to be our layout. You'll need your card base. You'll need a layer at a 1/4 inch less than that, your fold, of course. So that's 4 by 5 1/4. You'll need another matte piece that is 2 3/4 by 4. And then you'll need a white piece that's going to be your sentiment, and that is 2 1/2 by 1 1/4. And then you'll need another piece that's 2 1/2 by 2 1/2 square to go here. And then we're going to put some kind of a ribbon or some kind of border here. So I'll show you options with that. So I'm going to use a piece of the DSP from that suite. It's called Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper. And I want to cut a 2 1/2 by 2 1/2 piece. And I was attracted to the blue here, and I wanted to make sure to get part of the blue. So when you're cutting your piece, you want to be aware of where is a good place to cut it. Like if I cut it here, I wouldn't get any blue there, and it wouldn't coordinate with these colors. But I loved the Pool Party and how that kind of coordinated. So I'm going to kind of measure here and eyeball. Here's my 2 1/2. So I'm going to try to see how I can spread this out. I also liked some of the pink in there, the pink and the Merlot, the Flirty Flamingo, and the terracotta. So I wanted that to pop because I want to, it looks a little Poppy Parade also down here. This isn't quite as dark, but either way. Well, I could cut down here and get some of that blue also. So you want to sort of eyeball and see where you can get you know, the colors that you want. So this is a little more concentrated. Because I want to use some Poppy Parade on my ribbon, I'm going to use this section here. Even though it only has that little bit of blue, I think it will still tie in kind of nicely. And I think that Poppy Parade makes it pop. So there I have a lot of colors mixed in there. Okay, so you need your 2.5 by 2.5, 2.5 by 1.25. He's going to layer on here. Your mat again is 4 by 2 3/4 to give you that extra border. And your first mat, your first layer is your 4 by 5.25. And of course your regular card base. So we're going to put a saying on here, a little sentiment on that. And I think I'm going to use from this stamp set. There's so many nice ones. I'm going to use I'm Thinking of You, because I'm sending a lot of those cards out. Besides Christmas cards, but I'm sending a lot of them. I'm thinking about you, seeing how you're doing these days. All right, so again, to pull in some of that pool party, I'm going to use the, not pool party, the Poppy Parade, just as a little pop, no pun intended. I'm going to use that for my sentiment color. Again, I often go with black for it to stand out, but again, I'm trying to expand my horizons and do a little bit more. Poppy Parade is a bold color, so I think it's kind of easy to do. All right, so I just smudged a little bit. I might have to turn this over. That's a little bit of a smudge. I'll turn it over and try the other side. Okay, sometimes I like to start down below and use the edge to see if I'm straight, and then slowly slide it up. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, and one thing I like to do is sometimes if you're with my paper trimmer, you can see the back side of where you cut sometimes curls up a little bit. So I just take my bone folder and kind of fold that down. Okay, you can definitely see like a top or bottom to where you've cut, where the blade actually pushes the paper down. So on the back, it looks like it's pushing it up. Okay, so I like to just push that down just a little bit. So we're going to put that together, just glue that on there real fast. Okay, so that's your basic layout. We're going to put a ribbon across over here. Now I'm going to use the metallic edge ribbon. This comes in white with a silver trim. And also comes in vanilla with a gold trim. All right, so because this background is white, we're going with the white. Now, I said before I wanted Poppy Parade, but there is no Poppy Parade ribbon. So I want to remind you that you can color the ribbon. So I'm going to start with about 10 inches or so of ribbon. Just going to randomly cut that there. And you can take your Stampin' Blends. Because they're alcohol markers, they will dry very quickly on your ribbon. And they color and absorb so quickly. It's amazing. And you can do this with any color that you have. So you don't have to say, oh, I don't have this color ribbon. Just use your markers. So basically with your brush tip, you're just going to go across the ribbon. And it's even going to give a little bit of a tint to that edge. Unless you carefully choose not to color that. That's up to you. But just go across and look how quickly you have a color to match. All right. Now, if you were just putting this across in a single layer, you wouldn't have to do the back. I wanted to do the back because I'm going to tie it in a knot, and some of the back and the front will show. And the back would be, look, just a little bit lighter, but also the silver is not colored like it is on the front. So I'm just going to give a quick once over on the back. And it dries almost instantaneously. Really neat. Okay, so I used the dark Poppy Parade. All right, so if it feels just a tiny bit damp right now, so if you wanted to, you could take your heat gun to this, make sure it's nice and dry. It might feel a little stiffer at first, but you can always, you know, wrap it on your finger a little bit to loosen up. But once it's on your card, you're not going to matter. So I'm going to tie this. I want a little knot over here. So I'm going to, because it's hard sometimes to put your card this way and tie the knot, this is another option I just wanted to show you. And we've done this a little bit before too. Tie your knot first. I'm going to do left over right and under, and then right over left. So you get a little square knot. Okay, and then just do that on toward the edge of your ribbon, and then cut the back, and then wrap it around your card. And this, by having a knot there, I have a place now to put a glue dot to help hold that down. And that will be hidden because this ribbon is a little bit sheer and see-through, and it's soft. You might see an impression where a glue dot might be. I'm going to put this one right in the middle. I'll show you another version that I did where I put it to the side. And then you could just wrap that around. Glue it in the back. I'll cut that extra. Don't need the extra bulk. Making sure that's nice and tight. So that way you can make sure it's tight. Sometimes when you're trying to tie it, it's hard to get it tight and up close next to your card. And you end up cutting the back anyway to do this. Okay, so even though it got wet with the glue, my fingers are still clean. So that ink did not come off. So nice to do that. I'm going to trim my edges. And we have that cute little thing there. We're going to put dimensionals on the back. Okay, so here I have one started already, what I already did. And this one I put the little bow to the side, and I have the Miss You there. So I'll take that one since I already have the dimensionals ready to go. I will put this one on the card. So it's not a complicated or hard layout, just I found by having this part done and thought out, I had the opportunity to then concentrate on, oh, what colors do I want to put in what ribbon? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, say, okay, I'm going with this layout. How many different cards can I make with it? So that was what I had fun doing last night for you guys. So there you go. And of course, you will put a white on the inside and stamp a little something from the coordinating pattern on there. So kind of nice with colors that I wouldn't normally think of, but I really do like that and hope you do too. Okay, so another idea, I'll put those aside, is these are some others that I did with the same sketch. Right, this one I took Bumblebee, and although they don't list Pretty Peacock on the colors for the DSP, that's what I see here. So that's what I pulled in for the peacock. And again, I colored the ribbon with the Bumblebee. Actually, we don't have a Bumblebee marker. So I used the dark So Saffron. And it came out just fine to match the Bumblebee. So the dark So Saffron Stampin', the blending Stampin' Blends. All right, so again, thinking of you, I used the terracotta tile, so it matched those flowers there, pulled all that together. And this is that same painted texture 3D embossing folder. So that's a similar idea, slightly different without the knot and different colors. Okay, this one, I used the reverse of the DSP for my background. Instead of an embossing, you want something in the background so it doesn't look too plain. And instead of a ribbon, I put a little strip of scrap paper that I had left over. So using up that little piece, that little 1/4 of an inch, and put a couple rhinestones on, made that a little bit more elegant look on there. Pull in one more over here. All these sayings are from the same art gallery set. And then the last one, this is So Saffron and Night of Navy. Again, another little piece. I did the knot like and I didn't leave the ends of some. I just tied a knot in the middle and wrapped it around the back. Have a thank you on the side instead of in the middle. Just as a little something different. And this texture is the Tasteful Textile that I love so much. That's in the new annual catalog. Okay, so again, that just gives a little more interest by having that subtle background texture there. Okay, then one last thing. A couple other things. So you get your money's worth when you come here. I show you a lot of different options. That's what I hear some people really liked about some of my other videos. They said, oh, you show so many different options of things that you can do. Now, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to inspire you. Okay, so I'm going with Highland Heather. I used that one recently. I chose that same embossing folder, left it white, but I wanted to show you, I took a little bit of, and this one might be a little too white, but I'm going to take a little of the blending brush and the Highland Heather. I don't know if you can see right now, but I did put a little tiny bit on here. I'm going to put just a tiny bit more, just so it has just a very slight illusion that there's some color there. I don't want it to really stick out, but just kind of glow a little bit, so someone might look at that and say, is there really color on there or not? Okay, just to bring in a little something. Okay, now of course I'm going to have my other thing in the middle, so it's more important to do just a little bit on the outside, but I don't want to cover it completely. I want it to look a little, just a soft glow kind of an idea. Okay, so I took the stamp sets, Art Gallery, use the flowers. Two-step stamping means you get a background, which I did in a Highland Heather, and then the more detailed flower I did in Gorgeous Grape, and they're not made to match up absolutely perfectly. You can see how the darker images are sort of close to the pattern, to the petals there, and it just is to give it extra dimension. It's okay if some of it comes up. That just might be a darker petal or, you know, a different shadowing, but really pretty with that Highland Heather and the Gorgeous Grape. The leaves themselves have that different variegated color in there on its own, so that's just a single stamp. So you could see I didn't even stamp the whole, I didn't capture the whole stem and leaf on there. I just got a little bit because it's a 2x2. I mean 2.5 by 2.5. So I just wanted to make sure to get some of the leaf in there and add some green. I'm going to press down some of these edges from where I cut. They're sticking up a little bit. Okay, so I stamped Thinking of You. This is on Gorgeous Grape. We're going to put this on here like that. And this time, I went just a little bit lower with my sentiment. I'm going to go just a tiny bit higher with this focal image to leave a gap. So this sketch basically says, have something going across the middle here. So instead of adding a wide ribbon to cover that seam, I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap. Now there's less here and less here, but I think it's okay because it isn't too different, and as long as the top and the bottom are the same. And then that can go on that embossing piece, that embossed piece, and then on here. You might want to even think of putting it a little bit on an angle instead of everything being so straight. And I wanted to add a little something here. I thought it needed a little bit of a shine or glimmer, but I didn't want too much. In the suite, there is a gold ribbon. It's not too shiny. It's kind of subtle, which is nice, but it brings in a little sparkle. But I just didn't care too much for it on this. It was okay, but it wasn't quite what I had in mind. So I chose something else. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so this is the Fine Art ribbon. It's kind of a kind of feels like a gauze type ribbon that has a little bit of sparkle in it. And to put that across, I mean, it's fine, it's okay, but just wasn't quite what I was looking for. I wanted the purple to be the main feature of this. So instead I went with, from the Forever Greenery combo pack ribbon, there is gold trim. So this is something very, very soft and subtle. It's twisted, kind of like, it almost looks like a gold chain, like the way some chains are twisted. It does fray very easily. So sometimes you can use that to your advantage, or if you don't want it to fray, use it carefully and don't handle it all that much on the ends. Okay, so it comes in a combo pack with this open weave vanilla, and you buy those together as part of the Forever Greenery in the annual catalog. I showed you once how you can color that as well. So I colored this with, I think that was Blackberry or Merlot, I forget, and then with some pink. So that can have a nice look too. I'm sorry if I'm going off the other camera. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to wrap a little of this around. Okay, and this is a little loose. Like I said, it was sometimes hard to get it tight. So I take my tape, I'll bring this in, tighten it in the back. Okay, you can cut it, or you can even just tape it down like that so it's tight on each side. One thing I don't like is a ribbon that sags or gaps. Okay, so as long as you have that there, then it's nice and tight. All right, so let's just put this one a little askew and then hang in there. I have one more to show you, all based on the same sketch. So that you're putting a bunch of cards together. It's so freeing to not have to say, oh, how should I lay this one out? Okay, I'm just going to put that one just a little askew. Okay, so pretty. You can see how the ends of these ribbons are fraying just a little bit. It adds to the softness, I think. So I really thought that's pretty as well. Okay, so one last layout with the same idea. We have gray granite as our base. This is the back of the DSP also. We have flowers on one side. It's so hard not to use a particular side, or very difficult. So, and then I have another gray granite, 4 by 2 3/4. The next one, I didn't split into 2.5 square and 2.5 by 1 1/4. I just left it whole. So we have 2.5 by 3 3/4. So instead of the 4, you're going that 1/4 inch less. And this one I embossed with the Subtles embossing folder. Again, I like just that little touch of something going on there. Okay, I stamped the big flower from the art gallery. I stamped that in, what was that? So Saffron. And then I went over it with pumpkin pie as a 2-step. And have my dimensionals on the back. We're going to put that there. And the leaves, these are all the die cuts. You can cut out with those. Leaves, I put my mini dimensionals on the back. Okay, these minis are sometimes hard to pick up with your fingers, so use your pick tool just to get under them and plop them down. Makes it a lot easier. Just put a couple underneath the leaves there. And I'm going to put this down kind of askew so it's hanging off my center frame. And in this set of dies comes these little rectangles that you can cut that match up with these tiny, tiny sayings and sentiments. There's some short ones and some longer ones, so you can use either one of those. So that's kind of nice. It's all together in there. And that, instead of having the split in the paper or a ribbon, that's going to be my piece that goes across. So I'm going to put it actually a little lower. And let me put this together really, really quick for you because I think it'll look nice. And then this one I'm going to add a couple little pearls. I think that looks so sweet. I love that little, it's like a postage stamp edging. Okay, so we'll have that, and then we'll put a couple little pearls on there. If I can find them. Here they are. Using my pick tool again. Just very subtle. I'm going to put 3. Things are good in odd numbers. 1. I'll put these 3 right in a row here. That's, again, going with that idea of some kind of line or band going across. Okay, then I would put that down with dimensionals as well. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up down below. And don't forget to check out my blog at stampwithlorraine.com. I'll have this tutorial listed up there with measurements and more ideas. You can check out my gallery and stay in touch by clicking on signing up for my newsletter. So hope to see you soon. Bye.